Hey everyone, it's Brett, and we are back with another great author chat today. Our guest is the author of 2 Christian fiction books. She's a busy wife and mother, and is a speaker who hopes to encourage women in the truth that God is still with us during every season of our lives. And I kind of want everyone to stop and think about that for just a second. God is with us during every season of our lives, through the good times, through the bad times, painful times, happy times. To me, that is so encouraging in my heart, because that's one of the great promises in God's word, that he'll never leave us and forsake us. And I love that so much. She lives in Dallas. She values every opportunity to serve in the church. So I want to just welcome Kelli Galyean to the podcast. I should have asked you before we started recording. Is Galyean, is that the right pronunciation?
Oh, it's Kelli Galyean.
Galyean. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, Kelli Galyean. So come on in, Kelli. Tell everyone hi.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Welcome to the Bookish Introverts Podcast. Join host Amazon bestselling author Brett Nelson and avid reader Melanie Dyer as they dive in to review books they've read, then chat with the amazing authors behind them. Quiet minds, big bookshelves. You don't want to miss it.
So I think one of the first things I want to talk about is I always like to tell the listeners how our authors got their start in writing and in publishing. So take us a little bit into that. How long have you been writing? When did you start writing? Tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming an author.
Sure. I started, I guess, back in 2023. I just had an idea. I mean, I had always thought, oh, it would be so neat to be an author, but I didn't ever try or anything. I don't have books and, I don't have a lot of notebooks with stories or anything. But in 2023, well, I guess in 2022, at the end of the year, I had kind of just this idea that wouldn't really let me go. And I was in a season of my life where I was kind of trying to figure out what is next. What is the best way to spend my life? What am I for with my gifts and my purpose? And my kids were getting older, and so I was just praying a lot about that. And then I had this idea that I couldn't get rid of, and I thought, well, I could just try. And so I did.
Yeah.
I just kind of went for it.
Yeah.
And it's like the confidence of your 40s. It's like you can wear whatever jeans you want, and also you can try to be a writer.
Exactly.
So,
And that's exactly how I wrote my first book. I wanted to see if I could. And yeah.
Really.
And that's,
it's so interesting.
Yeah.
To try it. And so I started, and I got a few pages in, and I thought, wow, this is I thought I had so many pages because I've been writing, and it was 5 pages. I was like, oh, This is going to be a journey. This is going to take a while.
Yeah.
And so I showed a couple of friends who I really trusted, and they were like, yeah, I think you have something here. Keep going. And so I decided to, and pushed through, and kind of learned a lot on that in that time, and figured out a lot, and eventually I finished it, and here I am. Now I've written 2 books. I'm writing the 3rd, and I guess this is my season.
This is your path right now. Yeah, and I actually had kind of the opposite problem with you. When I wrote my first book, I just wrote and wrote. I knew I wanted my book. This was the naive part of me. I knew I wanted the book to be in the 300, 350 page range, because most of the books that I read, that's kind of the length that they are. And so I was writing in Word 300 pages, So when I hit 300 pages in Word, I was like, sweet, I did it. Well, not thinking when you condense it down into book size, it wound up being 550 pages. So
Neat.
Yeah.
Time to kill some darlings.
Exactly. Well, and that's what I've had to do in some of my earlier books. I had 4 books written before I ever published anything, and I went ahead and published them as was, because again, I didn't, I was new to all this. I was a newbie to all of it, and I've actually gone in and shortened a lot of them now, because people just don't like reading long books in general. So.
It's a lot. Yeah. It's a big commitment to take on something, especially when you see it in person.
Yeah.
In my book club, we had our first 700 pager. We were like, what?
Yeah.
Some girls wouldn't even try.
Yeah. It's daunting. I'm actually reading my first 1,000-page book right now. Yeah, I've been reading it since November. So it's secular fiction, but it's a Brandon Sanderson book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not really a fantasy reader, but a friend of mine, well, actually one of my podcast co-hosts, she loves Brandon Sanders. She was like, "You really ought to try one of his books," and even I feel daunted by 1,000 pages. So, but I'm just bound and determined I'm going to finish it.
Man, I mean, he's on my TBR for sure. I have so many friends who are like, these are the best books. And so,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of like, well, where do I start? Where's the best place to start? Because when you have so many 1,000-page books
Yes.
in front of you, you're like, oh, well, I mean, I'm happy to read it, but which one?
Yeah. Okay. Here's what the lady at the bookstore told me. I bought it at the local bookstore here. And when I took the book up to the counter, she was like, "Oh my goodness." She said, "Don't you just love Brandon Sanderson?" I said, "I don't know. This is the first time I ever read him." She goes, "You are jumping into the deep end with Brandon Sanderson." She said, "If I were you, I would start with the Mistborn series rather than the Way of the King series." And I think those books, they're still long, but they're a lot shorter. And she said that is a good introduction into Brandon Sanderson. But she said it really doesn't matter where you start because even though the books are different series, they all like intertwine together as you read. Like, she said you may be in one series but you'll recognize themes from the previous books or from the other series. So Mistborn series might be a place to start if you
Okay.
want to, if you're
I
interested.
wrote it down. Oh, that's where I'll begin.
Yeah, that's where you should begin. So, all right. So we're both indie authors. You are indie published, right?
Uh-huh.
You're an indie author. So it's become a huge trend in modern publishing, and a lot of authors have found great success through indie publishing. So what do you think, as an indie author, what do you think some of the biggest hurdles that authors face these days?
Oh, I think there's so much that is not in your control. I mean, you can do your best to show up on social media and show up here and show up there. But there's just a lot that's outside your control. Like you can send out as many advanced copies you could send out 100, 500 advanced copies and there's no promise that they're going to read it and post about it and all that. And so
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just outside of your control. And that can be challenging. I think marketing in general is challenging because a lot of people,
for sure.
Marketing is a creative pursuit. And so I think that you would think they would go hand in hand, a creative writer and a creative marketing. But figuring that out is, at least for me, a big challenge. And
It's two different mindsets. It really is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And you have to, I think, especially in Christian circles, we grow up being told the importance of humility. And then all of a sudden, you have to have so much confidence in this book that you have written. And so it's a very, it's a humbling experience to realize, like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm the only one. And so if I don't, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so figuring that out, obviously, like praying through that and asking the Lord, help me do this. I think I think it's just another part of like discipleship, is another part of dependence on Him. And so it's interesting. That's something that I never really saw coming because I just read books that, came across my feed or whatever. And it's like, I had no idea like how the sausage is made in publishing a book.
Yeah.
Until I was in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you also, I think getting out of your own way is really important too. You can get started, you can do all the outlining in the world, but the discipline that it takes to write a book a little bit at a time. An elephant is a really big thing to eat, and you eat it one bite at a time, but it's a lot to come back to that and to keep pursuing it, especially when it's frustrating, when you can't figure out a problem immediately. It's like you have to really learn patience, and you have to learn how your brain works. And so it takes some time and some reflection. And I think a lot of people, at least I certainly was not prepared for the amount of time and the weight of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wake-up call for sure. You definitely, I would say the general, especially indie author, but probably I would even say probably well-known traditional published author, we often don't know what we're getting into when we jump into the deep end of the pool and start
For
writing
sure.
our first book. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
But it's so much fun. I wouldn't take it back for anything. There's a lot of hardship that goes into it and a lot of self-doubt. I have to fight a lot of self-doubt, a lot of imposter syndrome. But, you know, a lot of the well-known authors that I talk to, they struggle with the same things we do. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which is so encouraging to me as an author. I'm like, I hate to know that you're going through struggles too, but it makes me so much feel better knowing that, okay, if someone of your caliber and someone of your level is not immune to it, just embrace it and work your way through it. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Well, we never quite get over being a teenager, right? Am I normal? Do I fit in? Yes.
Yes.
You're normal.
Yes, you are. Just know you are normal and move on. Another thing that interests me about you is you're a public speaker. That's one thing you and I do not have in common. We have in common that we're an author. I am not a public speaker. I'm not good at it. In fact, I feel like the village idiot when I talk aloud. It's funny to me that I have a podcast where you have to talk because I don't consider talking my calling. But you're a public speaker. So tell us a little bit about the things that you talk about. Who do you talk to? What sort of events do you speak at?
Sure. I do a lot of women's events. I do a lot of like moms groups, like mothers of preschoolers, things like that. And really my talks are Bible-based encouragement where we'll go through a passage and just kind of see what this passage says about the Lord and what that can also tell us about our own lives and how we can how we can take encouragement from that. Because I think a lot of women, especially moms, you know, there's not a lot of feedback at first. And so when I was working there, I was a teacher. And so we were constantly testing, constant feedback. And then I had a baby and it was like, well, is she okay? Like, is she thriving? How do I know?
Right.
It's like, oh, there's not going to be feedback for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so like so much of it is like the blind leading the blind, right?
Yeah. And then when they get to the point that they can give you feedback, you start wishing for the days when they couldn't.
Yeah. So, but I think like that encouragement and just that reminder, like you said earlier, like that God really is with us. This really is part of his plan, and his plan for you is good because he loves you and he is good and he's faithful. And so, I don't know, I guess my big spiritual gift is encouragement, and just sharing that with women, through the lens of discipleship of the word is really important to me because I feel like that is something that a lot of people don't have. And when you're raising your children and you're home a lot, you're at nap time a lot, you're alone a lot. And it's really easy to start to listen to lies and get distracted, you know. But if I can help you keep the main thing, man, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the enemy's tactics, one of Satan's tactics. He loves to get you off track, to get your mind on this, you know, especially when you're in your spiritual disciplines like praying or reading. I can't tell you how many times I've been in my nightly prayer time and, oh, I need to buy peanut butter pops into my mind. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stretch you a little bit here. As a writer, for me, you know, I can write an 80,000 page book and bang it out just like that. One of the hardest things for me to do is to condense it down into a book description. You know,
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes, to condense your whole book down into a book description that will make people want to pick up your book. So on your website, you had mentioned that one of the things that you talk about at some of your speaking events is stewarding your thought life. So I was going to see if you could give the readers a taste of what you do. Can you give like a 2 or 3 minute condensed version of what you would say to people if you were talking to them about that?
Oh, sure. So, stewarding your thought life is one of my talks. It's based in Philippians 4. So we know that in the beginning of Philippians 4, Paul says to rejoice always and be anxious for nothing. And but with prayer and supplication, make your requests known to God, and the peace of God will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Well, how does he do that? That's in the next verse. You know, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is beautiful, whatever is worthy of praise, think on these things. And so the way that I think about that is in mothering, in life, really, we can kind of get into our routines, and we can get into a rut, and we can get our mind into a rut of bitterness, or rethinking and rehearsing. Oh, I wish I would have done this differently, or I wish I would have said this, or I wish my husband would read my mind, or whatever it is. And so I think sometimes we do not understand that just like we are in charge of our feet, we can also take charge of our mind. You know, if I step in an anthill, I'm going to lift up my foot and take it out of the anthill because I don't want to get hurt. If I put my mind somewhere, I can pick up my mind and put it somewhere else. And what is the best place to put my mind? To lift my gaze, to think on what is true and beautiful and lovely and faithful and good, and let the Lord encourage me. Let Him guide my thoughts. Let Him be the thing that I am thinking about when my temptation is to think on my failure, or what I wish would have happened, or what I'm unhappy about. I think, like, who benefits from that? Because all of those thoughts take us away from what is true and beautiful and light and good.
Yeah.
And so, like, who benefits from that?
Take
Only the servant.
take your thoughts captive.
Exactly. And I think, like, when we are, I don't know, at least for me, motherhood was an experience of my weakness. You know, I'm an oldest daughter. I have a big personality. I'm an extrovert. I'm tall. There's a lot of things in life that work for me. But motherhood was so vulnerable for me because there wasn't feedback. There wasn't, is she okay? Does she like this? Is she, you know, she couldn't talk yet, you know? And so it was so vulnerable for me to be faced with this job where, it felt so important.
Yeah.
And I just needed so badly to get it right. And then there was like, well, how? All of my trust had to go into the Lord in that. And
Yeah.
that was so good for me. But that is not easy to do in a world that tells you that your productivity is your worth, that how good your products are is your worth, that how calm and put together you seem at church is your worth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's stewarding your thought life is, it's about taking hold of your thoughts, but it's also about not letting the enemy have you and win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
if you don't master that, the enemy will really whip up on you and catastrophize your life.
oh, exactly. And it's like my thoughts are not spinning in an orderly spin cycle. They're in
Yeah.
the dishwasher. You know, they're
Yeah.
shooting around everywhere. And so it's like, but, you know, we tell our kids, like, hands are not for hitting, teeth are not for biting. Your mind is not for shooting around in the dishwasher. Your mind is for lifting your gaze and remembering the truest thing about you, that you are loved by God beyond measure.
Yes. And we all know this is true, especially as Christians, we all know this is true. Have you ever noticed that 100 people can say something nice about you? One person can say something nice. What's the one thing that you carry around for the whole week after that?
yeah. The one person.
Yes. Yeah. That one person's negative word can supersede 100 nice things
Yeah.
that people have said about you. And yeah, but that's just kind of, I think that's one part of our fallen nature that, you know, that we really have to, like we said, take your thoughts captive and not let those things ruin our days, you know, and our weeks or our lives. But sometimes
Right.
it's easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So that was good. That was good. Thank you for telling us a little bit about that. So if anyone's in the Dallas area and you think you might like to listen to her speak, people can go to your website and see what your coming events are.
Yeah, KelliGalyean.com.
Kelli
And there's
Galyean.
a form on there that you can fill out to invite me to come speak at your event if you would like.
Oh, cool. All right. So if
Yeah,
anyone's
it's all
interested in that, go to her website. So Kelli, let's move into your book. It's called I Know the Feeling. So, and you wrote this in 2022, is that right?
No, this, I Know the Feeling was written in 23, 24.
Oh, this
It came
is
out-
book 2.
Oh, no, 24. Yeah, 24, 25.
Oh,
It came
okay.
out in 25.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
years just blend together at this point.
Oh, I know. When people ask me when I wrote my books, I'm like, dude, I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but here it is. This is
Yeah.
I Know the Feeling.
Oh, yeah.
It came
Hold
out
that
November
up.
2025.
November 2025. We're not only visual, we're also audio. So for the people that are listening, can you explain the cover to them a little bit? I like to give people that if they're listening.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It is a watercolor picture of a couple walking away from you, and they're facing a house. It looks like it has a big, like a wraparound porch, and it has lights, like patio lights out there, very inviting.
Yeah.
And they're just facing it. You can tell that they are, I think, together. They're a couple. This is a romance novel, and so they are a couple. But they don't start out that way, of course.
They don't start out that way. Yeah, most romances don't. So, so tell us a little bit about. I kind of chuckled at this as I was reading it. Tell us a little bit about the absurd man-child.
Oh my goodness, youth guy Chris. We love to hate him.
Yes.
So in my first book, he is the youth minister, and he leads the youth camp and things like that. And he's just kind of immature. He is frustrating because he's obnoxious. And so you kind of love to hate him in the first book. And then that presented a wonderful challenge for me in the second book to grow him, to share kind of why he is the way that he is, and that insecurity that leads him to act that way. And but also like his ability to grow, to show up, to decide who he's going to be as his circumstances change. And so you see a lot of his, just his growth in the Lord, his growth as a person in I Know the Feeling. And you learn about his background of what kind of created some of those thought processes to make him think that that was the way that he should act, just out of self-protection, really.
Yeah.
And so, but in I Know the Feeling, he has to step up. His family needs him. His sister needs him. His sister's husband has left her, and she has 4-year-old twins. And so he's got to step up, and he's got to help her. And he does, which is such a blessing. Like, that is such a blessing to have somebody in your life choose to step up when you need them. And that changes, of course, a lot of things for him, too. He has been in the first book, he meets a new guy on the staff of the church named Ryan, and Ryan encourages him and starts practicing discipleship with him, and just kind of invites him into the freedom that comes from healing. Mm-hmm. And so he's experiencing that, and he's growing a lot. And you see that, and I Know the Feeling, that he's not who he was. He's healing from a lot of those wounds, and you learn what those wounds are.
I think that's one thing I love about books. I love it when authors make characters flawed, and you get to see their progress of sort of, because we're going to be flawed forever until Jesus calls us home. We're going to be flawed, but I love to see the process of characters sort of recognizing that flaw in themselves and fumbling their way through it. And yeah, it's just I love that.
Well, and as a reader, to become that person who like really loved hating that person, to finding yourself sort of like reluctantly rooting for them, and then starting to really love them, and just, I love that. I love that in TV, with Dwight Schrute in The Office. It was like at first he was so frustrating, and then by the end of that series, you just love him.
Yeah. So are you the type of that really hates on unlikable characters, so to speak? A lot of readers will give up on a book if they don't like one of the characters, and I'm like. Oh. And I'm like, that's so unfortunate, because a lot of time those especially in Christian fiction, a lot of time those unlikable characters, those are the ones that get the best growth arc.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know that I would, I feel like it's hard for me when there's no one to root for. If there's one likable character, I'll keep going, or if it's funny, or if I can kind of see where they're going with it, or if I'm curious, if I am curious about, okay, how is this going to happen?
Yeah.
That helps me keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also don't really think about it a lot. I have found on Bookstagram, a lot of people will think through like, oh, this is why I DNF a book or whatever. And I'm like, I just haven't really given it that much thought.
Me either. Yeah. Yeah. I love a good villain. I've seen so many reviews on books where people give a bad review because they didn't like a character, and I'm just like, yeah. Even if a character is really bad, first of all, those characters are kind of necessary in a book, especially if you're reading in certain genres like thriller or mystery, stuff like that. You got to have a bad guy. And yeah, so I'm not the type of reader that hates on if a character's bad, then I can enjoy their badness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and also I think, again, like in a book, what I've learned writing, every line matters. Every character matters.
Yes.
If there's a character that was not moving the plot forward, they got kicked out, and so in the editing process.
Yes.
And so having people who are there, like knowing that they're there for a reason, I think helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. So going back to a book, and for the listeners, we are not going to give any spoilers in this book. So if you do plan on reading this, we're not going to give any spoilers here. There's a little bit of friend drama with a couple of characters, Maddie and Heidi. Can you tell us a little bit about that without going into spoiler territory?
Oh, I can try.
Okay.
So Maddie has her strong group of friends. They're introduced in the first book, and they have a really strong group of friends. They all go to church together. They all really encourage one another. And so we're meeting her, and she's 31 years old. Like, she's kind of settled in her life. She's an ER nurse. She's kind of learning that. She's learning working in the ER because she just switched departments. And so she's kind of in over her head already with work, and then she takes on this Christmas play because the minister had to go on bed rest with her baby. And so she didn't see that coming. And then the first night, she did not see coming that one of these sweet little boys is actually the son of someone that she used to be really, really, really close with. And it turns out, you find out early in the book, so Heidi is her name. And she and Maddie were best friends. And she was Maddie's maid of honor in her wedding until the night before her wedding, when Maddie caught Heidi and Houston together. Houston was her fiance. And so Heidi and Houston are now married, and now they have a son, and Heidi is pregnant with their next child. And she hasn't seen them in a long time. And so it just kind of throws her for a loop. And it is hard because throughout the book you can tell that Heidi really misses Maddie, and loves her family, but really regrets the way that it happened. And so there's a lot of humility in Heidi, and I think there's also a lot of humility in Maddie to think through like what her boundaries need to be, but also through like the freedom of forgiveness. The gift of forgiveness, and also the difference between forgiving somebody and reconciling with them.
Big difference.
Yes, for sure. We grew up, I think forgiveness was handled really badly, at least in the circles that I grew up in, where it was like forgive and forget, and then it never comes up again. But like forgiveness, life is meant to help us to grow in wisdom, right?
Yes.
And so the Bible is full of the importance of wisdom. And so it wouldn't necessarily be wisdom to be like, oh, I forgive you, and then just let that person back with full access to your life, with full access to your heart. And so moving forward in a way that is wise is really important, I think, as we grow and learn. Yeah. And so I hopefully show in this book like the freedom that comes from forgiveness in tandem with the gift of being able to move on in a healthy way.
Yes. Well, and one thing one thing I've learned is, and sometimes I don't think people always think about it, because in my mind, I was always kind of like you forgive and then you forget it. Forgiveness is not always a one-time thing. It's not always,
it's a cycle.
It's a cycle. You may have to forgive the person for that 100,000 times. And you know what? That's okay. That doesn't mean you're living in forgiveness. That just, unfortunately, it's kind of like in the Bible where one of the disciples told Jesus, well, how many times do we forgive them? 7 times. And Jesus said, no, 70 times 7. So basically, he's telling the disciples, you forgive them as many times as you have to. Mm-hmm. So, So I think sometimes we kind of can forget that as believers, that it's a process.
Right.
And if you find yourself struggling with that, that's normal.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, especially women, I think have been sort of saddled with this expectation of like, well, if you don't forgive, then you're not a Christian or whatever. No,
Yep.
we're called to forgive, but we're thinking wrongly about forgiveness. If forgiveness doesn't come from fear. Forgiveness comes from giving this to the Lord and trusting Him with it.
Yes.
And walking in freedom. And forgiveness is a gift to us because we cannot bear that. We're not meant to
Yeah.
carry that for the rest of our lives. We are meant to walk in freedom with Christ and trust in Him, and He will take that burden. His burden is light, remember?
Yeah.
And so He takes our heavy burden, and He knows what to do with that. And if it comes back again, He's strong enough to carry it again and again and again. And however much we need to give it to Him, He's ready to meet us there.
I kind of see it as, if you let forgiveness go unchecked in your heart, it can breed anger and bitterness.
Yeah.
And I sort of see every time you have to forgive that person, I kind of see that as pruning it down a little bit more. When you have a tree out in the yard, sometimes you have to prune it, or a bush or whatever. And I sort of see that process as forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. You're sort of pruning anger and bitterness out of your life. Yeah. Yeah.
For your good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some of the obstacles that some of your characters have to face?
Well, and I know the feeling, the two main characters are Maddie and Chris. And I would say Maddie she's really in over her head, switching gears at the hospital. I had no idea that changing departments was a life-changing thing, but it really is. She is saddled with this children's play. She's dealing with seeing her ex-fiance and her ex-best friend after years. And then as she and Chris are working together, and as he is consistently surprising her with how much better he is than she thought he was,
Yeah.
she's also like seeing good in this person that she had written off a long time ago. And then they're friends, and she's stewarding that, and she wants to honor him and be careful with his heart because she sees how much work he has put in. And so you see Maddie really trying to love well in that and not make it all about her. And then you see Chris, he's dealing with his family trauma from long ago, but also that like reliving it through this happening to his sister. He's healing through things that happened years ago that had been saddling him with just a lot of fear, really. And so he's overcoming being an idiot. A lot of these people, like he's overcoming all of the feelings that come with that.
Yeah.
And he's trying to create in himself or find the courage to try again for somebody who he really cares about now.
Yeah.
And so that's hard to do.
And I totally feel that, because sometimes I feel like I have the spirit of idiot on my life.
The spirit of idiot. That's amazing. You should put that on a t-shirt.
I should. Oh my goodness. Maybe I ought to do that. That could be some of my author swag.
Oh man. That would be so good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just, I don't know. I'm tempted to say that's the way the Lord made me, but sometimes I think that's just the human side of me. So what are some of the larger themes of the book? We've already branched into forgiveness. Are there any others in there for readers that maybe are theme readers?
Oh, definitely. There are themes of redemption. There's a lot of character growth. The theme of maturing in the Lord, and really like the theme of trusting God with your story.
Yeah.
Trusting God that where you are, you're there for a purpose, for a reason, and it's for your good. Finding your identity in Christ and not in your circumstances.
Yeah.
The theme of like showing up and serving open-handed and being open to what God has for you in unexpected circumstances.
Yeah. Let that servant's heart take over every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course there's a lot of friendship. We meet Chris's family. You go out to East Texas and meet his whole family, his grandmother and his siblings. And I think that's really fun to get to explore somebody's family. 'Cause I
Okay,
feel like you
yeah,
don't usually meet people's family until you're like already romantically involved with them. And so
yeah.
meeting someone's family before, that is, I don't know, maybe a leg up
That can
in
tell
their
you a lot.
situation.
Yeah. Well, and really, as a reader, I love books that deal on family drama. Like I will
Oh,
take a
yeah.
family drama over a romance any day. And
Uh-huh.
I feel like there's not a lot of family drama out there in Christian fiction, so I love any book that delves into family drama and family dynamics. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah. One thing about the book that I wasn't expecting that I kind of enjoyed, I am the self proclaimed Mr. Christmas. And I really liked that the book kind of took place during the Christmas season. Now, for those of you that don't like Christmas, it's not a Christmas book. It's a book that takes place during Christmas. So why did you choose Christmas as the season for the book?
Well, I was thinking about where I ended things with How Can It Be, for one thing. And then for another, I was thinking, what would be a reason for Maddie and Chris to be around each other? Like in regular life, there's probably not a reason. And so my son went to a preschool that put on like the nativity play every year, and it was the cutest night of the year. I mean, you have not lived until you've seen your 4-year-old dressed as a donkey. You
Oh,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Just adorable. Singing joy to the world at the top of their lungs. I mean,
Uh-huh.
just precious. And
Yeah.
so I really love that. And I thought, well, that could be a really good way to bring them together. They would be together multiple times a week because of rehearsing. She would need him because of, needing to get into the building, needing to decorate, stuff like that. And so it just kind of presented kind of the perfect opportunity to get a couple of people together who wouldn't have another reason to be around each other.
Right, yeah. Now, and I will say this is book 2 in the series. I did not read book 1 prior to reading book 2, and I read it just fine. So do you suggest people read book 1? Like for me, you get this question all the time. People always say, well, I've got book 3 in the series. Can I read it, or do you have to read? I always am a big proponent of read the whole series in the order that the books are written. But sometimes you just don't get to do that for whatever reason. Do you think people can read book 2 without having read book 1, or do you really think they need the benefit of book 1 first?
Oh, I think you could definitely read it first. Read book 2 first. That'd
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you miss all of the how obnoxious youth guy Chris can be.
Exactly.
But that's fine.
Yeah,
It might
listeners.
be better to read book 1 first so that you're like, oh.
Well,
Some people who read book 1 first were probably like, why would I want to read about that guy?
yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I'm saying always, if you have the choice and the option, always just start with book 1, because even though you can read the next book in the series just fine without it, you miss a lot of good antics and a lot of good drama and a lot of good, all that good stuff that makes you just want to sit down with the book and never get up until you've turned the last page. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. All
I
right.
think either way is fine.
Yeah. So can you kind of give us a little idea of what are some of the ways that characters use their faith to overcome the adversities?
Oh, I think it's really good to have encouragement that we can always turn to the Lord in situations where we're in over our head. And I think for me, that doesn't always come naturally. And so I will lean on self-reliance first. Even now, even after all these years of the Lord being the one to shepherd my heart through situations, or the Lord being the one to rescue me from something, like I will lean on Kelly first. And that is really frustrating. It's something that I want to get better at. And I feel like the Lord is growing me in that. But it takes time. And so hopefully we see these people lean on the Lord, and hopefully that just kind of like trains our mind and our heart to seek him first. But then also, I think so many people, obviously like mental health is a very trendy issue right now in society, but I think so many people think that they can't heal, or that God doesn't want them to heal. And you totally can.
Yeah.
The Lord is so good to us, and he has given us common graces like therapy. I've worked with a lot of women who really benefited from having counseling or therapy through a licensed professional counselor. I think that is really important. I love having a licensed professional counselor who is also a Christian who holds that worldview. But the training, especially for women in abusive situations, that training is so important. And biblical counseling has just kind of traditionally maybe not had the best training for handling those situations. And so I think a licensed professional counselor can be such a wonderful benefit for things like that. But I think it also just, like, the Lord is the one who keeps us going, through hard times, through tough seasons, through life when it takes an unexpected turn. Like, it is all Him. It's Him in our hearts helping us. And He's the one who helps us stay faithful when we're not sure about the next step. He's the one who helps us to wait well. And I think hopefully all of that comes through in the book.
And waiting's not something as Christians sometimes we don't do very well, but there's a lot of discomfort in the waiting. Yeah, there's a lot of discomfort in the waiting, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And the messy middle.
Exactly. And I feel like life in general, I feel like we're always in the messy middle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So there's a little situation in the book where a character helps another character sort of through to get their friendship back on track. Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of having the right people in your life? I think that's something we have to guard our lives with, having the right people in our lives. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, I think show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
For sure. Yeah.
It's pretty simple. I mean, if you choose friends who are, not going to encourage you, like very, very often, I think we think, oh, I can be a good influence on them. Mm-hmm. And I will just tell you that, like, you're not in your friendships to be a missionary necessarily. I think we can have very noble ideas of that, but like influence is influence. We do not naturally drift toward holiness, And
right.
so if we are consistently exposing ourselves to things that are not of the Lord, that our sword is going to get dull,
mm-hmm.
And we are called to keep our sword sharp. And so I think our friends, our community is a huge part of that. Like, I mean, I have a teenager right now, and I'm trying to talk with her about that all of the time, and I'm holding that with an open hand a lot, because I'm just like, I know that the Lord is going to bring her to the right friends. But we were talking, I was at Bible study, and one of the moms was like, our daughter is getting into drinking, like we don't know what to do, and she doesn't have any Christian friends. And this other mom, who's just a little bit ahead of her, she said she does have a Christian friend. She has you. You are her Christian friend. Like, you do not give up on your child. You do not hold the line for her,
Yeah.
Like, yes, you're the parent, but you are the Christian in her life. And that means something. Like, we think, oh, the teenagers only want to hear from us. No, all the data is showing that when you ask the teenagers who the biggest voice in their life is, it's their parents. And that matters. Like, it matters that you show up in your kid's life. It matters that you show up in your kid's life like a roaring lion with the truth of God, because they are not hearing that. Like, the world wants to tell them who they are more
mm-hmm.
than we can even imagine. And you are the first line of defense against that. You praying them through, that's so important. And how are you going to do that? Through the support of your own friends, through staying encouraged through your friends. Like, as the mama, are you choosing friends who encourage you, who edify you? Are you going places where those women are? Are you going to Bible study? Are you going to church? Like, and dads too. My husband works in a corporate job where he is surrounded by kind of the ick every single day.
Same.
And
yeah.
And his friends, like who he is heart friends with, they matter so much. They are so precious to him because they're in that too. But when they get together as their men's group on Sunday morning and they're praying for one another, like they are going to war for one another.
Yeah.
And that matters, and that has shaped our home. And the man that he shows up as is really important. And it's important to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just me saying, well, you need to be a good dad. It's him showing up. He's the one who makes that decision. He's the one who has chosen the discipline to practice spiritual life at an inconvenient time. He's up really early in the morning doing that. But that, like, he is leaning on the Lord with everything he has, because he knows that he has limits and that he is not a hero in his own strength, you know?
Yeah.
We need the Lord, and the Lord is there for us.
Yeah.
And if we do not have Christian friends, we can pray, and God will give us Christian friends. And there are places that you can go to find Christian friends.
Yeah. And the Bible says iron sharpens iron. That's
Yes.
why you need friends. That's the equivalent of iron sharpening iron.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. And I know that church is hard for a lot of people right now, but don't give up on the church. Look at Acts. Look at how, you had people from everywhere, from all kinds of belief systems in the Roman Empire society, and they had this one thing in common, and it was the most precious thing in the world to them. And you think that was easy?
No, it wasn't.
Do you think it was easy for those people to forego all of the societal, things that would have held them back from one another?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't easy. But they pressed through, and they loved one another, and they chose one another again and again, practicing forgiveness, practicing keeping an open hand, practicing humility, trying to be wise, practicing trust that the other person's heart was pure. And somehow, over these thousands of years, the church still exists.
Yeah.
And
it will continue to exist. God's church
Exactly.
will always march on. Yeah.
Exactly. You are more important to me than something that is not eternal,
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Oh my
It's
goodness.
important.
That was so good. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else about the book you want to share with the listeners?
Well, I think just kind of like to piggyback on what I just said, in this book, I learned a lot just in my own heart about like the value of not writing people off.
Yes.
She had written Youth Guy Chris off a while ago, and a lot of people had, and so I think that is something like giving people the benefit of the doubt is not easy for me,
Yeah.
but it is such a valuable skill to
Yes.
have and to keep.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a great book. Thank you so much for writing. Again, it's called I Know the Feeling by Kelli Galyean. If you go to Amazon, it's spelled Galyean, Kelli, Kelli. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone go check it out. Yeah, I know it's available on Amazon. Is it available everywhere else? Where else can they get it if they want?
I think it's online at Barnes and Noble as well.
Okay. So just,
But Amazon is probably the easiest.
yeah, that's where a lot of people buy their books. But there are some people out there that are anti-Amazon. So we always like to tell people if other options if Amazon's not for them. So
Oh, it's also, on that note, it's on the shelf. And if you're in Denton, Texas, there's a little bookshop called the Plot Twist Book Bar. And it's actually on the shelf there.
okay. So if you're in Denton, go down there and snatch them up. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to start winding this down. Can you tell us what are you reading right now? I love hearing what authors are reading.
I got sucked into Emma M. Lyon. It's happening.
What is that?
Oh, The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon by Beth Brower.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's going to be a long road. She's planning for, I think, 24 volumes.
Oh,
but it's
wow.
basically historical fiction. It's the diary of this like girl in England, historical fiction, and she is just sort of helping her friends, and she is in her own situation that is kind of dire, and she's just kind of trying to just be strong through it. But they're very humorous and very comforting. It's easy to read it. It's not like, right now in my season, I have a teenage daughter. So she wants to start talking to me at like 10:30 at night. And so like my reading time has always been at night before bed. So I have like almost no energy for reading right now.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I'm spending all that time with her, which is such a gift. I'm so grateful for that.
Enjoy it while you have it.
Yes, exactly. This is maybe my favorite phase of having kids so far. It's been so fun with her, and my son is 11, and so that's really fun. But I just don't have a lot of like time to read right now, And so I've been reading that, and they're short enough chapters that you can get like a lot in a little chapter.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they're comforting, sweet reads. They're a lot of fun.
Okay, and that's Emma Lyons. Is that Lyons?
Lion.
Lion. Okay, all right. I'm always
Like
looking.
the
I'm
animal.
always looking for new authors. So, all right.
Yeah.
So, what's a genre that you rarely read?
Oh gosh, I don't like to be scared. So like the thriller, the horror, like ugh. No.
Oh, okay. I love
Yeah,
a
and
good
I
thriller
also,
book.
Ah!
Yeah,
I also
not into horror, but I
don't like
love
to be
thriller.
I also don't like to be sad. And so, like, no to animals dying. I was reading Colton Gentry by Jeff Zentner, and he gets like the oldest, saddest dog at the pound. And I'm like, I'm going to have to throw this book in the trash because I just cannot. If the dog is going to die, there's literally a footnote. Petey will not die in this book.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank you, Jeff Zentner.
Thank you for telling me that up front.
Yes. Oh, I mean, I read Where the Red Fern Grows in 5th grade, and I still have not recovered from Old Dan and Little Ann. No, never again.
Yeah. Okay, I got a question for you here, and you got to speak the truth and shame the devil, girl. There are some people out there, I find it so funny. They can read a book and 10 people in it can die and they won't shed a tear, but you let an animal die and they will smash the book against the wall. How are you on that?
Well, I think it depends on the characters, for one thing. Like, I mean, there's sometimes I have really looked forward to like an abusive man being killed in this book. Like in Kiss of Deception, when she finally kills off that Malik guy that was so gross, I'm like, yes. Yeah. So I know there's my base nature right there, but I think I will never forgive John Green for Augustus Waters. That was horrible. I didn't even watch the movie. I was like,
Really?
I survived that one time and I cannot survive it again. I'm never losing Augustus Waters again. So like Fault in Our Stars is one of the best books, but I just did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And it was so sad. I mean, there are times when like, character is going to die. And so you can kind of accept it because the author sort of like shepherds you through it, through their illness or through their aging or whatever. That to me is acceptable. It's when it was totally, horribly unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it's such a beloved character.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh.
So here's a very good piece of advice. If you're a listener and you're maybe have ambitions to be an author, or maybe you are an author, pick your deaths well.
Yes, for sure. It needs to like really serve the story, and you need to be prepared to minister to the reader through it.
Yeah.
Like if I'm
That's true.
hearing, somebody's loss, I also want to hear their recovery and their grief journey and their like how it led to something better.
Yes, you need to see some sort of like good coming out of bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. If you could sit down and talk with one person, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh gosh.
It doesn't have to be
One
an author.
person
Just
living or dead?
yeah, one person. It can be an author or not.
Well, I mean, obviously Jesus, probably Rahab, but also maybe like C.S. Lewis.
When I ask this on here, I get so many people say C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's
Well,
he's such a amazing author. Like, why would you not want
Yes.
to get into the portals of his mind?
Yeah. Well, and also I think just his gifting and his positivity through really difficult times. I mean, my preacher, he keeps saying lately, he's like, no one's coming. Like C.S. Lewis is not coming for us to lead this through this time in life. Like it is us. It is, we are the church mothers, the church fathers leading the church through this difficult season. And I just feel like, man, it would be really nice to talk to C.S. Lewis.
Yeah. It would. Yeah. So if you could ask Jesus one question, what would it be?
Oh, okay. I struggled with this one so much, but it was actually really encouraging to me because I was like, well, the basic questions of like, well, how long or what, but it's like, but he's God. He knows how long and he's good. So
Yeah.
that would be a throwaway question. So honestly, like after really thinking through this, I think for me, my question would be, what are my blind spots? And will you please show me them in a way that is not horrifically painful?
I love that. Yours was a little bit more virtuous than mine. I want to know, okay, you tell me right now why heat, humidity, and bugs were necessary.
Yeah, the mighty mosquito.
Yes, exactly. When you live in the South, there's an overabundance of bugs. That is for
Oh my
sure.
goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, you've got a book coming. You've sort of already said that you're working on a third book. Is there a little bit something you can tell us about what to expect out of the next one?
Sure. So, in I Know the Feeling, you meet Chris's sister, Chelsea, and she is like freshly divorced in this book and all of that. So, the next book, actually, one of my readers requested that Chelsea have her story. And since then, more and more readers have requested it. So, I'm writing Chelsea's story.
Oh,
It
yay.
is like 6 years later. I kind of did the soap opera thing with this one where the kids are a little older. And so she's teaching and she is kind of figuring it out, single mom life and all of that. And so she's gonna see some goodness, hopefully.
All right. So there's a little Chelsea love coming down the road. Do you have an idea of when that one might come out, or is it still too early to tell?
It is early.
Okay.
I was thinking like, oh, I'll release another one in the fall. I've released in 2024, 2025 in the fall. And this one is harder to write. I had to draft a lot to get to know them both. And so I'm starting that second draft where I know her better and I'm excited about it. I'm feeling good about it, but it's taking longer. I
Yeah.
feel like the other two, I had such a plan and I thought I had a plan with Chelsea too. I worked really hard to outline and now I'm kind of like, well, how do I want to do this?
Yeah. Insert evil laugh.
No, not evil, but just, I don't know. I want her to have something so good,
Yeah.
but also like she's been through a lot. And it's just hard to write. Like the painful stories of women. All these years in Bible study have shown me that like the painful stories of women, they kind of like, there's not a lot of new painful stories.
Yeah.
It's always an old story.
Yeah.
And we have a lot in common as women that just will break your heart. And that is something that I have tried to do in my books, is just to like represent those women and let them know like your voice belongs in the church. You belong in the family of God, and we want you to show up there because you are so loved by him. There's nothing
Yes.
that God cannot redeem.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's something that women find in those communities. But if they can't, then I hope that they read this book and they have that encouragement that you belong in the family of God.
Absolutely, yeah. I highly recommend. This was a very enjoyable read. Again, I Know the Feeling by Kelli Galyean. So, Kelli, tell listeners where they can find you if they want to go online and look you up.
Yeah, so I'm kelligalyean.com is my website, and on Instagram, it's kelly.a.galyean. And I also have a Facebook page, but I am not as good about updating that as I should be. So mostly Instagram.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then I have a Substack, and you can find all of it on my website.
Okay.
So just search Kelli Galyean and you'll find it all.
You'll find it all. All right. So, yeah, everybody go check out her website. You can find us everywhere. Bookish Introverts Podcast. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. All of our podcast episodes are published on YouTube. So Kelli and I are just waiting for you to come and find us.
So fun.
So fun. Anything else you want to say, Kelli, before we end this?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed the conversation.
I
So
did
fun.
too. This was so much fun. We'll have to do it again. Maybe when book 3 comes out, maybe we'll do it again.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. All right. Well, listeners, we thank you guys for sticking with us and for coming in to see what Kelli Galyean's all about. So we'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Bookish Introverts podcast, where together we explore the worlds within the pages. Until next time, stay bookish.